you find a way to go up 3 in that final minute, and you've seen how Denver ends up scoring so many times. But how do you balance the emotions there of kind of being proud of the effort and the energy, and then nonetheless feeling the sting of the loss at the end?
Yeah, I'm proud of the group for their level of fight and resiliency, particularly not getting off to a great start there in the second half. Our transition defense was pretty bad from the first 6 minutes on. And then, fighting back and taking the lead. There's a lot we could have done better, but the group competed tonight and gave ourselves a chance to win.
You said you're not sure exactly when you'll start to get bodies back, but the spirit, can you carry that out of this game as now you start to add a few guys back in and try to reclaim the not necessarily the winning streak you were on, but just that level of play again?
Yeah, the spirit was great. I think it's been that and will continue to be that. And I think it was a good opportunity for a number of guys to play bigger minutes, and Shake in particular, Christian defensively in the second half was awesome. So happy for those guys that they played well.
JJ, people who've been around Austin, like yourself, like us, know his level of competitiveness, but what did you kind of make of his performance and his toughness tonight?
Yeah, I mean, certainly asked a lot of him on the second night of a back-to-back, not just the 40 minutes, but just the vast majority of playmaking duties. And I thought he did an outstanding job. And again, I hate to keep using the word organization, but when we were very intentional and organized about what we were doing, I thought we created some fantastic offense.
When you brought Jordan Goodwin back from this team on a two-way after he was with you in training camp, did you have a sense he could be this player for you?
Yeah.
What gave you that sense? Because there's been a handful of performances.
September, I don't know the exact date he joined our preseason gym, but what would have happened sooner had he not hurt his hamstring. The coaching staff was all fighting for him.
How's Dalton after the fall?
His back and head apparently are okay. I guess he cramped on takeoff.
Koloko, I think, ends up being like plus 13. It just seemed like he made a difference defensively around the rim. Hasn't played a lot lately, but what did you make of him hanging in there tonight in a tough matchup? And does that give you any confidence as you move forward here?
Yeah, it does. I think, again, Goody, Christian, Trey, we've gotten incredible value out of those guys and love having them in our program.
JJ, you said pregame, you mentioned that maintaining perspective with the messaging with the group. What was the messaging after tonight?
Just that very, very proud of their fight and the way they started the game and the resiliency they showed to get back in the game. And there's I think the play that Jokic got the and one, I'll take some ownership of that, just because that was a short timeout, and I ran on the floor to check on DK, and then I ran back, and I didn't have time to really get us the right substitutions and matchups that I would have wanted. And that's not a knock on CK, but I just kind of put him in a tough spot, knowing that Jokic was going to go quick. And then last play, just no comment on that one.
Shorthanded Lake. Welcome back to Access. Luka Doncic is out tonight, and as you can see, he is putting up big numbers in the last 7 games. 32 points, shooting 44% from the field to go along close to 8 boards and 8 assists. He's also had 5 or more turnovers in each of the last 7 games. JJ spoke about those struggles after the loss last night.
Yeah, I don't know the exact PPP, but I know that we've been pretty good against the shock or the blitz, relative to some of the other coverages. So I think we've gotten good looks out of that, and some of the turnovers are out of that, but that's natural if you're going to get double teamed sometimes. Then I just again, it goes back to like they are going to put 2 on the ball, and there's one guy on the weak side. Well, the top guy has to pull behind and get to the top of the key, and that's something I'd love to have a bunch of offensive breakdown segments in a practice to get that in, because it's right there. We see it on tape. We watch it at halftime. It's there, and I know Luka's a willing passer, so we'll be able to do that eventually.
Time for Access 360, brought to you by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa.
Good time.
Good time.
Yeah, good
Byron,
time.
let's break down Luka and just that pressure he's facing from the blitzes and how he's navigating through that.
Okay, let's do that. I mean, again, you're talking about one of the best, pick and roll guys in the NBA, and Luka, he has such great vision. But there's times, and JJ said this the other day, there's times where the team, the players, they have to help him out as much as possible. And this first of all, we got a crowded side over here. Now you got to start coming up. He's got to start coming up there to give him vision. You got 3 guys. You almost got 5 guys in the paint, really. So you got to give Luka outlets, okay? So once he starts driving, you got to make sure you get yourself available. And that's everybody. Again, another pick and roll. They're going to trap it a little bit. This is a great dive, but the only thing on this side is you got to overload. Somebody has to get in that deep corner, puts pressure on him, have to guard 1 or 2 players, okay? So Luka jumps in the air, and he thinks he has a nice little pass. And again, some of these are Luka's fault because he's such a great passer. He thinks he can thread that needle. Again, another high pick and roll, which is a horn set. And anytime, again, you set this high pick and roll, they're looking to trap it with Luka right now. And you got to make yourself available. So Austin's all the way down here. You got to start coming up. Give him outlets, okay? And the spacing with Dalton, he has to get a little bit farther apart as well. Another high pick and roll. Jameson does a good job of setting it. Now he's got to dive. But again, you got too much of an overload over here. Austin has to get all the way down here. You should almost replace here. Bring my man Jordan all the way up. And now it's going to be a lot harder for him to get to that basketball. But like I said, a lot of these, like half and half. Some are Luka's fault, some are his teammates' fault for not making themselves available. So JJ hit it right on the head when you said that they got to help him as well. You got to get in his vision. He's such a great passer, and if you don't get in his vision, then he's going to try to make that home run pass, and sometimes that leads into a turnover.
Byron, that's a great breakdown, and you do see that both guys are responsible. For holding on to the ball, for shielding with their body to help, to coming to the ball, going to the right spot.
Yeah, like I said, you got to get yourself available when you got a great passer like Luka. And a lot of times when he comes off those pick and rolls, if you have a loaded side over here, that's hurting you because now you got 6 guys over there, okay? If you can vacate that corner, bring another guy up, and have another guy on the wing, once you make that pass out, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense to try to recover and get to shooters.
Blitzes look a lot different, too, when out on the floor with him, LeBron James, Jackson Hayes on the dive, right? Those kind of things, guys he's used to playing with, even though it's only been 13 games, that kind of read the game with him. So that's a part of it as well.
Absolutely.
So, James, last 10 games, Luka averaging just under 30 points, right? He's 29.5, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 38% from 3. That's in the last 10. So I know he said afterwards he's not there yet, but that he's getting close, and some of the mistakes, definitely his fault. He wants to get better. But he's getting there.
Yeah. Oh, there's no doubt.
He put up 30 in his sleep, it seems like.
There's no doubt.
Especially with no LeBron in the game, right?
There's no doubt that he's getting there and, has arrived. And Luka can have a bad game and have 30 points. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's all about efficiency for him. Guys getting used to his passes, him getting used to, the other players' tendencies. He's getting there with LeBron, Hayes. Now you throw in some new guys, and Byron just showed that they're not quite as in sync together because they hadn't had a lot of time together. Otherwise, Vanderbilt would have been in that corner. Mm-hmm. They would have been in the right spots. They've proven that. So when you throw in new guys and new faces, it's tough to get used to. But Luka, for sure, after being out since December and having an injury and then having a little trouble with his back a little bit and laboring his way back into shape. His team defense has been pretty good. He's really good at anticipating steals. So he's on his way to really being lights out. He's an assassin.
All right, Lakers' brutal schedule continues tonight in Denver. Doesn't let up after it. Up next, they talk about a rough stretch of back-to-backs.
Hello, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình nhé. Video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu cho các bạn cùng xem. Và để tô màu được thì mình cần chuẩn bị những dụng cụ như sau. Đây, bên cạnh đây là những sản phẩm mình in sẵn để mình dùng để tô màu. Đây là những con vật, những đồ vật, hoa quả, vân vân. Và mình cần chuẩn bị đó là điện thoại để quay video, một chiếc giá đỡ điện thoại. Và đây là bút sáp màu. Và bây giờ mời các bạn cùng theo dõi quá trình mình tô màu. Và mình mong rằng các bạn hãy ấn like và đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ mình. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều.
Thì mình sẽ tiếp tục như thôi. Xong rồi mình...
Hello, chào mừng các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình nhé. Video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu cho các bạn cùng xem. Và để tô màu được thì mình cần chuẩn bị những dụng cụ như sau. Đây, bên cạnh đây là những sản phẩm mình in sẵn để mình dùng để tô màu. Đây là những con vật, những đồ vật, hoa quả, vân vân. Và mình cần chuẩn bị đó là điện thoại để quay video, một chiếc giá đỡ điện thoại. Và đây là bút sáp màu. Và bây giờ mời các bạn cùng theo dõi quá trình mình tô màu. Và mình mong rằng các bạn hãy ấn like và đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ mình. Mình cảm ơn các bạn rất là nhiều.
Nhiều chi tiết của tô màu nhé các bạn. Chúc mừng các bạn